Hafsa. Thanks for joining. So let me open this conversation with a question to Naledi, and also let me add something. So it's not a coincidence that these women are on stage. So as I mentioned, we have different kind of activities, and one is that we have this Female Founder Award. So in February this year, we asked companies from all across Africa to apply for this, and these are the winners. Naledi with Restaurant on the first place, Hafsa with Koamana on the second, and Susan, who is like representing Fortune Credit today, and the CEO, Janet, as third place. And please give a huge applause on that. You can be a bit more enthusiastic. It was a hard competition. Thank you. Okay, this is a fireside chat. That means I will have a few questions for them. I will give them the time also to react to each other, and then give us a last statement. So, Naledi, in your field, what excites you most in terms of innovation for the upcoming 10 years? Test. Oh, you take mine.
Okay. Oops. Hi, everyone. My name is Naledi. I'm the co-founder of Braston. At Braston, what we do is simple. We connect the unconnected. So we unlock digital access for rural communities and smallholder farmers in Africa. We've done this in 5 countries, so that's Botswana, DRC, Cameroon, Guinea, and Zambia, currently scaling into Cote d'Ivoire, and we have reached over 5 million users in the countries that we're in. Thank you. So what excites me about the work that we're doing, we're heavily focused on digital inclusion and ag tech, and what I would love to see in the future that I hope for is seeing solutions that are really ubiquitous in our continent, having the same amount of impact which we've seen, in terms of the Western solutions that we've adopted. We've seen the way that a WhatsApp has been so transformational in the way that we do life, and I would love to see our homegrown solutions being as impactful. I'd also love to see context-specific solutions. I was really inspired listening to Aishamba earlier on speaking about simple technologies and how transformational they can be. We have seen that in our experience, and we've seen that in as much as USSD, SMS, IVR, they're not exciting, they're not sexy, but they can be super transformational, and you can create really innovative use cases around that. So that's the core of what we do at Braston. We focus on meeting our people where they are and building solutions that are context-specific and aware. And we've seen that that has been instrumental to our scale, so I would love to see more of that. And so we have a beautiful continent. There's so much opportunity. By 2030, we're going to have, the youngest population in the world. That just shows that there's a huge room for opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity for creativity, energy, and solutions, especially around climate. I want to see a world where we're not just feeding into climate stories, but we are the ones that are creating homegrown solutions and even inspiring the rest of the world, and the world wants to learn and adopt our solutions as well. So it's a very high-level question and a very high-level response to that question, but yeah, that's the vision that I see.
Thank you. So coming from vision to barriers, Hafsa, what would you say change in the ecosystem if you could in order to reach that vision that Naledi explained? And please also introduce yourself again.
Hi everyone, my name is Hafsa Jumare. I'm the CEO of Koamana. Koamana works with traditional agriculture market hubs in Nigeria and Kenya. And the reason why we work with market hubs is because we believe that they're the fastest way to actually improve market access on the continent. Agriculture, produce has always moved through traditional hubs on the continent. Over 90% of produce still ends up in market hubs. They're the center point for community, and they're effectively the last mile that people say don't exist. And so we work with them to improve their capacities support them in trade coordination, access to other market hubs, as well as financing and insurance. We've reached about 180,000 farmers and supply chain actors since we started. And so, what the lady said resonates really strongly with me in, the need to design homegrown contextual solutions. Because I think what we're doing is a bit unique in that we're looking at what exists and trying to elevate it as opposed to creating alternative marketplaces. And speaking to your question, what needs to change? I think, we started raising our first equity, I think, in 2023. And in talking to different investors, what we found was that people like what they know, meaning there's no room for homegrown solutions, right? Because there's already predefined set of solutions that people believe work. And sometimes it's copy-paste solutions from Europe. So as far as like the values in the ecosystem, there's this tendency towards what exists already, and it kills innovation, right? There's never any funding for innovation. And the second one, I don't know if, you were asking this specifically in terms of a female founder context. I think I would say something about, again, the values of the ecosystem. What you tend to find is you go to networking events, you find that like the typical profile of the founder is like a fast-talking male, right? And I emphasize fast-talking. So people that can sell and exit, people that investors believe can like sell to the next investor, right? And I think in the way things, that structure is defined, it makes it so that if you're not within that profile, it really works against you. So I think there's something to be said about the values of the ecosystem itself, especially in how they, disfavor women types. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks a lot. Then my next question goes to you. So we talked about the vision, we talked about barriers, and I want to know, in terms of innovation, like we heard a bit from Naledi, what excites you most when we talk about the future?
Thank you. My name is Suzanne Kihembe. I work in Fortune Credit.
One question. Can you hear her? Like for me, I can't hear her. Maybe someone from the back. Can you raise your hand when you can hear her well?
Check. Yeah, you're good. So my name is Suzanne Kihembe. I work as a project manager in Fortune Credit, helping to lead digitalization. In regards to technologies that excite me in regards to being the game changers of our space, I'd say one, AI. I know AI is a buzzword. Everybody talks about it. But if you actually can sit down and actually ask, what can I use AI for in my industry, in my company to solve problems? Because also the problem is people are not asking the right questions. You want to implement AI, but you don't know for what. So I think if people can actually leverage it, when I look at agriculture, in the agriculture sector, especially for us who are working with in ag tech and also climate tech and looking on better ways to be able to reach our farmers and to be able to educate them in regards to farming and grow them. We're looking in ways into able to use AI to be able to grow their, be able to predict for themselves forecasts, to be able to also know how to use that in regards to informing them in regards to planting. Livestock health also will be helpful to actually be able to inform them on the health of their animals, what they could do, giving them access. Another technology that I think also is important is digital platforms. I think, if you can actually be able to leverage digital platforms in reaching the common wananchi, as we'd like to say in Kenya. One, I see ways of being able to bring market aggregation. I've seen the pitches here. I know some of the founders because we're able to actually talk with them. And I'm seeing them leveraging that, being able to give them access to markets, because that's one of the problems that they experience. Being able to give them access to education through that, and also leveraging AI and combining it. So that also, yeah, so I'd say AI in regards to helping them be able to make smarter decisions and informing them, and then also digital platforms integrating with AI to be able to actually give them the access they need to the markets and grow them, yeah. And also digital credit, yeah. So.
Thank you. How about the two of you? Would you agree with her? And please also answer that from the perspective of your company. You want to start, Nalili?
Yeah. Yes, but before I wanted to comment on what she spoke about earlier on what needs to change in the ecosystem. We all know the funding gap for women-led startups, but one of the things that I have seen in my experience was investment decision bias. There was a particular experience where there was a particular investor and they had a fund and they had to deploy funds to 3 startups. And this particular investor was very vocal about advocating for female startups, female-led startups. But surprisingly, the largest amount went to the male-led startups and the smallest to the female-only led, and then the middle went to a company that was female and male-led. So it was interesting because the largest amount that went to the male-led, this male-led startup had significantly raised a whole lot of money, whereas the female-led that really, really needed the capital had, they really needed it, right? They were doing amazing, they had traction, but it wasn't reflective of what they were saying. So I would hope to see more investors kind of being more intentional and over and beyond just using, female-led startups for PR or marketing, but actually going on to actually supporting them and addressing their needs. So just wanted to comment on that.
I mean, I completely agree, right? Like, oftentimes people drag you to places to do the female founder show, and it's not pleasant because it kills a lot of your time and productivity. And like, it needs to... So I was saying, oftentimes people will drag you to different places to do the female founder show. And I think after a while, you learn that these are not always people that give you money or invest in you. And I think not only are you getting less funding, you find yourself doing busy work, right? Rather than building your company. And there's definitely that decision bias because I've seen my peers, like I'm friends with like other male founders and I know, what their companies look like on the back office side, right? And oftentimes you'll find that, people get a little bit ahead simply because maybe they have a certain relationship or they're overconfident, right? So, it speaks to the values again. Like I said, I think more often than not, you'll find that they're a lot less, and if I use these words, I think people will be mad at me. Less women are con men in the world, right? And so the same profile that allows con men to succeed, the same types of traits can actually allow people to succeed in the investment space when raising funding. And unfortunately, that works against us, right? Like, I've had in the past year different, females within organizations complain to me about like, a certain, like, maybe perspective in the organization that's trying to push for like that overconfidence or oversell perspective. And it's always the women that are complaining about that, right? And feeling uncomfortable with it. So I'd say like, it's honestly like what I see is like the values are what like is different. And I'm not sure how to change that, but I know, that's where we need to start from.
So I told you science is proving that they will be more successful than the other male-led businesses you saw pitching today will be. And I think the message is clear. Let's move a bit more ahead in the future. Where do you feel with your businesses, where you would lead? Like where would you be in 10 years?
In the next 10 years, I think so our vision would be to have expanded into further East African markets. It would also be great to have seen the impact that we want to see in our Is that better? Oh. Oh, sorry. That? Okay. As I was saying, great. As I was saying, in regards to our vision for the next 10 years, it would be to expand to across East Africa. We're currently only based in Kenya, but we're looking to, of course, to expand to East Africa with the aim of bridging financial inclusion, because that's our main aim, is to be able to make financial inclusion more accessible to the low-income earners. And through that, we look forward to seeing the impact that we'll have also through the climate resilience and mitigation solutions that we are planning to offer to be able to help people to be able to grow themselves, be able to mitigate the effects of climate change. And so we look forward to actually seeing our target audience, our target market actually growing themselves. We look forward to hearing the success stories from them. So that's what we are looking to be known for in the transformation, in regards to our transformation in the next 10 years. Yeah.
I think in the next 10 years, we would like to feel like we've started, pushing towards evolution of traditional markets on the continent. Like I said, these are, part of our historical trade routes. They've been carrying agriculture for a very long time. They're often overlooked and neglected in favor of new solutions that sideline them. And so in the next 10 years, what we really want to see is that we're embedded in these markets in both Nigeria and Kenya and in the rest of West and East Africa in a way that allows us to digitize what they currently do and also bring in resources that support them in scaling and being as strong as some of the agri-techs that exist in the market.
Okay, so for us, our vision in the next 5 to 10 years is to see ourselves in a minimum of 19 countries, having impacted 45 million lives, and transition from just connecting people, but to actually empowering our user base, transforming their lives, and ensuring that they're actively participating in market, they're connected and they're digitally included and participating in marketplaces, and they're able to thrive and improve their livelihoods. So that's what we're currently focused on. Our work is really about using devices, mobile devices, as digital portals for rural transformation.
Thank you. Do you want to react to each other, or shall I open the questions for the audience? Audience? Yeah? Okay. Then, who wants to ask the first question to them, and to whom? I can also pick someone.
Hi, ladies. My question is with regards to how you're building up your management, right? Because when you start your businesses, and now there is a skills upskilling that is required, even you as management. I want to ask you, how are you navigating that for yourselves and also for your teams, so that you can actually keep leading the charge? Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Okay. So just want to make sure I understand your question. Is it how are we upskilling our management? Okay. So for us, one of the ways that has been really helpful is through programs. We've been through a lot of entrepreneurial support programs. And in these programs, there's a lot of capacity building opportunities. So we try not to focus on just us, the founders, getting access to these skills and mentorship opportunities and coaches. We also ensure that our management teams also participate in these. And we also do enable trainings. We do pay for trainings that are relevant for our management team. What's also been helpful for us is that we have an amazing board, very, very experienced. They're very invested in the business, so they're also very open to sitting with our teams, and some of them actually work with us on a consultancy basis depending on what the need is at the time. So that has been really helpful for us. I hope I answered your question, right? Okay.
So I don't know if you want me to. I think, exactly what she said. Good board and leveraging capacity building, and some of it, like we were under part of the SAIS program, and we were very good at taking technical assistance from them and bringing in experts to kind of improve our capacities or work with us for a period of time. I think it's part of growing pains where you get to a certain point and you find that maybe there certain capacities are lacking. It could even be yours, and I think we've had hits and misses, to be honest. Like you end up, finding the best manager and building the best manager and that's able to scale, and sometimes it doesn't work. But I think we just keep trying to improve constantly and recognizing when a situation is failing and, when a situation is good.
I think so. I'm just going to echo what they've just said. For us, one of the key things that is key in regards to hiring skill is people who are passionate about what we do. It's very key, and passionate about what they do and passionate about bringing impact. That's one of the key things. I think so when you find, it's good for you to find people who are skilled, but finding people who are passionate is key, and so that's what we do in regards to management. I mean, of course, upskilling always, supporting the upskilling. It's continuous improvement, of course, day in. It's continuous improvement, continuous learning for yourself as a founder. Just looking more into ways, the programs they've mentioned, that's what I'd say.
Thank you very much. My name is Tobias Bele from Kenya Climate Innovation Center. I am a man, as you can see, and so I was quite surprised. I had to ask her how bad the bias when it comes to investment for female-led ventures is, and she's confirmed to me that it's quite bad. My question is, what trends are you observing in terms of demographics, in terms of the source of that bias? We know that a lot of investments and funding do not necessarily come from the continent. We have a percentage that comes from the continent. We have a percentage that come from outside the continent. Is there a difference in terms of what you're seeing in the trend? And then secondly, is the bias specific to the kind of financing? Is it just about VC? Is it just about equity? Is it just about debt? Do you also see different standards and measures put for women-led ventures other than male-led ventures? And what is the mitigating measures that you've tried to apply? Do you just sort of just give up and say, okay, if it works, it works? Or do you find yourself having to work triple hard to prove your point and show that you merit for some of these opportunities?
I can start. So I would say, so from our experience, I think we've had an easier time with the debt guys because they just focus on numbers, right? Whereas VCs, sometimes you never know what an IC is thinking. You can even have a very good, due diligence process with their investment managers and if someone may have had seen someone that's a similar profile as you, right? Or seen a similar company and then they're just against it. So it's a big question mark. And I would say that's where the issue lies because it's now, a lot of it lies on, subjective perceptions of a company. And the reality is ultimately when you're pitching, you're selling, right? And the best people that sell ultimately win, right? And it's a confidence game. So I'd say the main difference I'm seeing is that there are certain types of funding that's more numbers oriented, and then some are much more subjective, and you can never really predict what's driving that subjective perspective, right? And I know for female founders that works against, us if you are not overselling, or if you're not, I know a lot of female founders that fall into that. I have a lot of male founder friends that like pump me up like before a big situation, right? Because they're like, you like more often than not, they're the ones that make me feel overconfident about a situation. And I'm talking about averages, sorry. I'm not trying to say men are one way, women are another way, but from my experience, what I've gotten is that a lot of male founders have that like confidence and like that, sales, pitchy, surface type of behavior that like resonates well with investors, whereas female founders are a bit handicapped in that. And that's one thing that like I wish this space was a bit more honest about, because I don't think that's the case. And because of that, you have women put through all sorts of trainings, accelerators, you're traveled, like flown everywhere, and it's actually a waste of your time, right? Like, I think transparent values would allow us to actually, distinguish between what types of funding to go for, what type of VC to go for, or even make the VCs aware of their own biases.
Yeah, and I think I'll just contribute in terms of where the bias may be coming from. Where the bias may be coming from. So it's interesting that I think you would automatically assume that it would be coming more from maybe like VCs, but the example that I gave earlier was actually from a social impact investor where you're thinking that inclusion is really important to them, right? And women empowerment and all of that. So it was quite confusing that they are a social impact investor, but then what they do is kind of opposite of what they say. So it seems like it kind of cuts across if that's the case.
Okay. For us, we've not yet worked with VCs yet. This is probably the first time we're actually considering it as part of this conference. And we're looking specifically for the climate resilience part. For debt financing is where we've mostly majored on, and that one we've not really struggled as much. Like she said, people look at your business and they choose to invest in it because they see a return. Where I know it has been a struggle is in regards to now concessional financing or looking for grants. But that one, I think so. The most focus is on the impact, and so of course they're looking for big impact. They're looking for certain numbers, and sometimes the product that you're pitching does not have that reach. So I think so that has more been a challenge for us. Yeah. But so far, I think so this year, we've gotten grants before, I think so, quite a number. But I know when sometimes the difficulty is in regards to the impact that you're planning to target with that project. So that's our experience in that regard.
Is there another question in the audience? If not, I would have one. If one of you could name the perfect match for tonight, like whom are you looking for?
Okay, so we're not actively raising. We're not raising equity, but we are looking for mission-aligned partners. We're looking for partners that could support us in deepening our impact. And in terms of fundraising, that could look like grants or debt. So if you offer such kind of instruments and are willing to partner and support the work that we do, I'm very happy to collaborate and connect with you today.
So I think, similar to the lady, it's debt or mission-aligned grants. Equity, it depends on the investor, but really we're more focused on debt and grants, and still can have the equity conversation, but depends on the investor.
For us, our focus is on investors who are looking for impact. So they're passionate about in climate resilience, climate mitigation, impacting in that space. Yes, we are open to grants. Also in regards to VCs, we're also open to that. It's subject to conversation, but yeah, we are welcoming, yes.
Okay, thanks to the three of you. Thanks to the audience. I really want to take you from today. First, female-led businesses are more successful, and there's a huge bias. And we can start here by educating you on that. Second, I want to remember these faces because I know in 10 years you will regret that you didn't invest or that you didn't collaborate. And third, when you get pitches from females, and believe them more. Okay? Thank you.
I better clap for that.